Welcome back to Sunday Medz. Today I want to talk about judging ourselves rightly. To look at God, not in the mirror, not at others. Romans 12 says, the only accurate way to understand ourselves is by what God is and by what He does for us, not by what we are and what we do for Him. A lot of times we get caught up in comparing ourselves to our own standards of righteousness and holiness and the things that we should be doing and should not be doing, instead of looking at the completed work of Jesus on the cross and being defined by what He has already done for us and the way that He has already made for us. We need to understand and live from that place of confidence that we are defined as God's children in the likeness and image of Him who made us and died for us, rose from the dead, paid for our sins, has forgiven us, and we are now joint heirs with Jesus, seated in heavenly places. When God looks at us, He sees the finished work of Jesus. It's about His work on the cross, His position at God's right hand. We are not stand-alones that have to now earn our reputation and work towards some level where we will now deserve His inheritance and show that we are worthy of it. He already did that for us. It's about God's omnipotence and God's power, not our position and our power. God's actions defines us as His children more than our actions define us as His children. So live in the grace and love of God. Do not judge yourself wrongly. Think of a cake in the oven, judging itself, looking around, seeing only batter and liquid form, and thinking, but I'm not a cake. The cake is judging itself prematurely in what it can see now instead of the process that it is in. Give it some time, it will be a cake. And that is the same with us. We are still in some form of batter formation where there are some things that are not fully worked out, some things that are not fully developed. We are still being sanctified, we're still being processed, we're still being refined and growing and maturing as His children. And even then, we are still not going to look like Him exactly until that day. Also, think about a child comparing themselves to the parent and thinking, I'm not that big, I'm not that tall, I don't know how to do everything the parent does. And that child then being so hard on itself, thinking that, well, that must mean that I'm not even a human being because I can't do all of these things and I don't look as fully developed as the parent. But give yourself some time. Judge yourself rightly. Look at yourself through the lens of grace and love, as the Father does. Entrust yourselves to Him that He is the potter. He knows what He is doing. He is molding us and shaping us and forming us and reworking and renewing some things and transforming us into the image of His Son. So do not look at yourself right now in the process and judge yourself and say, oh, well, I'm not even a Christian. I'm not even a child of God. The work hasn't been finished yet. Give yourself that grace and look at the perspective from the finished work of Jesus. And on the flip side, judge yourself rightly. Do not look around at others and say, oh, well, I'm not as bad as that, or I'm doing better than that. Keep your eyes on God and how He defines you. Do not be looking at other people to see how well you're doing, and don't look in the mirror to see how well you're doing. Look at the finished work of Jesus to define you. Judge yourself rightly. Be encouraged. See you next time.